A soaking wet 10-year-old girl walks into the emergency room, alone, barefoot and silent. Doctors rush to help, but when she finally opens her mouth, she says just 3 chilling words. And the doctor immediately calls 911. What did she say? What was hiding beneath the hospital? This story will leave you speechless. Before we dive into this chilling true story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because, trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. It was a stormy Friday evening at Crestview General Hospital. Rain pelted the windows with relentless fury, and thunder cracked like a warning shot across the sky. Inside, the emergency room bustled with the usual chaos. Patients being checked in, nurses hustling through hallways, the faint sound of a crying baby from one of the trauma rooms. At precisely 8:46 p.m., the automatic doors parted with a soft hiss, and in stepped a young girl. She looked no older than 10. Her hair was soaked, her feet bare, and her clothes clung to her body, drenched and tattered. There was something deeply unsettling about her stillness. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She simply walked in, like she belonged there, or like she had nowhere else to go. Monica, the front desk nurse, immediately noticed. She stepped out from behind the counter, rushing to the girl. "Sweetheart, are you all right? Are you hurt?" Monica asked softly. The girl said nothing. Her eyes, wide and unblinking, scanned the room like she was searching for something or someone. Seconds later, Dr. Alan Reese arrived. Tall, composed, and respected throughout the hospital, Dr. Reese had seen a lot in his 20 years working emergency medicine. But something about the girl's presence felt different. He knelt beside her. "Hey there, I'm Dr. Reese. Can you tell me your name?" No answer. Then in the faintest whisper she looked up into his eyes and said 3 words that would stop. His heart cold. "He's still inside." Dr. Reese stared at her, stunned. The words echoed in his mind. "He's still inside." Inside what? The hospital? A room? A vehicle? His mind raced. "What do you mean? Who's still inside?" He asked again, this time more urgently. The girl's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't answer. Her lips quivered, and her shoulders trembled as if she was fighting off a panic attack. Monica wrapped a blanket around her and gently led her to a private exam room. Dr. Reese pulled Monica aside. "This isn't a normal case. Get security and call the police." He stepped out into the hallway, pulling out his phone with shaky fingers and dialing 911. 911, what's your emergency? "This is Dr. Alan Reese at Crestview General. A child has arrived alone. She's clearly traumatized." She just said, "He's still inside." "I think we may have a serious situation." As he spoke, the weight of the moment crashed down on him. He wasn't just treating a lost or injured child. He was likely staring at the key witness to something much darker. The dispatcher assured him that police were already on their way. Within minutes, flashing red and blue lights pierced through the downpour, and multiple officers entered the ER. One of them was Detective Carla Jennings, a tough, sharp-minded investigator known for her no-nonsense approach. After a brief exchange, she was led to the girl. "Can you tell me who he is?" Detective Jennings asked gently. The girl looked up and said another word, one that sent chills through the room. "Basement." The word basement set off alarm bells. Detective Jennings turned to the hospital staff. "Do you have a basement?" A janitor nearby hesitated before replying. "There's an old basement level. It was sealed off years ago. Structural problems. Mold. Nobody uses it. Most people don't even know it's there." Jennings immediately dispatched officers to investigate. She stayed with Lena, the name the girl had finally whispered, trying to gently coax more details from her. Back in the older wing of the hospital, 2 officers found the basement access behind a long, unused storage closet. The lock was rusted, but not intact. Someone had been down there, guns drawn. They descended into darkness. The basement reeked of damp air and mildew. Flashlights cut through the pitch black, revealing crumbling walls and long-forgotten equipment. The officers moved methodically. Then from deep within the shadows, they heard something, a faint cry. Then another. They rushed toward the sound and pushed open an old metal door. Inside was a horror no one expected. 3 children, 2 boys, and 1 girl, huddled together on a pile of stained mattresses. The room had been crudely converted into a makeshift living space. Food wrappers, dirty clothes, old toys, and most disturbing of all, a pair of iron chains bolted to the floor. The kids were malnourished, but alive. The officers called it in immediately, their voices shaking with emotion. Child Protective Services. And EMTs were summoned. Back upstairs, Detective Jennings walked into the exam room. "Lena, you did it. We found them." Lena broke down into sobs. The weight of what she'd carried alone had finally lifted. As the story unraveled over the next 2 days, the full horror came to light. Lena and the other children had been reported missing weeks ago from nearby towns. Each case had gone cold, with investigators baffled. The idea that all of them had been right beneath Crestview General was unthinkable. The man responsible was soon identified: Gregory Harlan, a former janitor who had worked at the hospital nearly a decade earlier. He knew the layout intimately, including the existence of the forgotten basement level. Records showed he had been terminated years ago for inappropriate behavior, but no one suspected he still had access. Detectives found a network of hidden service tunnels that allowed him to enter and exit the basement without being noticed. Hospital. Security had grown lax, and no one had questioned the occasional noises or missing supplies. Lena had planned her escape for days. She waited for a heavy storm to cover her tracks. When Harlan left to scavenge for food, she slipped out. She knew the only place she might be safe was the hospital, the very place that had become her prison. Thanks to her courage, not only were the other children saved, but a dangerous predator was taken off the streets. The entire community was shaken. Questions were asked. Policies were reviewed. The hospital launched a full-scale security overhaul, and Lena, she became a hero. The rescue of the children made national headlines. Lena's story became a symbol of unimaginable bravery in the face of horror. She was placed in protective custody, where she began receiving therapy, medical care, and, most importantly, safety. The 3 other children were identified and reunited with their families, though the emotional wounds would take much longer to heal. Gregory Harlan was apprehended at a gas station 20 miles away, attempting to flee the state. He offered no resistance. The evidence against him was overwhelming, including fingerprints, DNA, and surveillance footage. He now faces multiple life sentences. Dr. Reese, still haunted by that moment in the ER, reflected on how those 3 simple words had changed everything. "He's still inside" had shifted the hospital from routine chaos to a crime scene. It reminded everyone that heroes can come in small, silent packages. Detective Jennings gave a press briefing days later. "Lena was smart, brave, and stronger than most adults I've met. Her actions saved lives. We owe her more than we can say." The basement was permanently sealed. Memorials were placed in the hospital lobby to honor the strength of all the children affected. A fund was started in Lena's name to support missing and exploited youth. As for Lena, she finally found peace. In a safe home, surrounded by people who cared, she began to rebuild, all because, in a moment of terror, she whispered 3 words that no one will ever forget: "He's still inside."